no other part of the Hebrew scriptures does this human element stand out in so naked, tangible, and material a form as in the strange episode of the Book of Judges. Samson is unmistakably a solar myth. His name may mean like the sun. And Delilah, the languishing one, represents winter. The hero's hair, as in all sun stories, represents the sun's rays. The Philistines are the clouds, which darken, or blind, the sun when his rays have been cut off in winter. The destruction of the Philistines represents the triumph of the sun, when at spring he returns to the glorious part of his course, over the clouds of winter, by which till then he had been, as it were, imprisoned. Samson is neither more nor less than Heracles was to the Greeks, or Siegfried to the Germans, Melkarth to the Phoenicians, Istubar to the Babylonians, etc., but that he should have been in office as a judge or magistrate of Israel is nowhere apparent in the original story. Samson of course is a Hebrew as much as Siegfried is a German and Heracles a Greek. He is the national hero of the tribe of Dan. The Samson story has remained a favorite with Bible readers, and so its several incidents have been illustrated by the greatest masters of Christian painting, all of them reflecting the spirit in which the various episodes of the tale were commonly interpreted. Samson is explained by Calmet and Cruden to mean his son. This explanation I greatly doubt. Samson answers correctly to the Hindu incarnation Shama, or Shamajaya, which is one of the 1,000 names of Vishnu, which the Hindus repeat in their litanies, as is done by the Romish Christians. Balaiswara was the son of this Shama and the Samiramis of Osua, of Scripture. Several of the early Christian fathers, and along with them Synchilus, acknowledge the identity of Samson and Hercules, who, they say, was copied by the Gentiles from the Bible. The whole story of Samson, the Philistines, the lion, Thamnathorthamoots, Hantant, is a mythos. It is explained by Dupuy, Zulekult, in his dissertation on the labors of Hercules. The etymology of the name of Samson and his adventures are very closely connected with the solar Hercules. Sampsa was the name of the sun. Among the Arabians Basampsa was the name of a city of their country, which was the same as Heliopolis or City of the Sun. Isidore, of Seville, says, that the name of Samson signifies the solar force or power, that is, he defines it as Macrobius defines Hercules. Whatever may be the origin of the name, we know that Samson was of the tribe of Dan, or of that which, in the astrological system of the rabbins, was placed, Cassi, under Scorpio, or under the sign with which the celestial Hercules rises. He became amorous of the daughter of Thamnes. In going to seek her, he encountered a furious lion which, like Hercules, he destroyed. Synchilus says of him, in this time lived Samson, who was called Hercules, by the Greeks. Some persons maintain, nevertheless, adds he, that Hercules lived before Samson, but traits of resemblance exist between them which cannot be denied. Sir William Drummond says, I have already observed that Gaza signifies a goat, and was the type of the sun in Capricorn. It will be remembered that the gates of the sun were feigned by the ancient astronomers to be in Capricorn and Cancer, from which signs the tropics are named. Samson carried away the gates from Gaza to Hebron, the city of conjunction. Now, Count Jebelin tells us that at Cadiz, where Hercules was anciently worshipped, there was a representation of him, with a gate on his shoulders. To the story of Samson and Delilah may remind us of Hercules and Omphale. Samson had 7 locks of hair, the number of the planetary bodies. The yellow hair of Apollo was a symbol of the solar rays, and Samson with his shaven head may mean the sun shorn of his beams. Volney says, Hercules is the emblem of the sun. The name of Samson signifies the sun. Hercules was represented naked, carrying on his shoulders 2 columns called the gates of Cadiz. Samson is said to have borne off and carried on his shoulders the gates of Gaza. Hercules is made prisoner by the Egyptians, who want to sacrifice him, but while they are preparing to slay him, he breaks loose and kills them all. Samson, tied with new ropes by the armed men of Judah, is given up to the Philistines, who want to kill him. He unties the ropes and kills 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass. Hercules, the sun, departing for the Indies, or rather Ethiopia, and conducting his army through the deserts of Libya, feels a burning thirst, and conjures Anu, his father, to succor him in his danger. Instantly the celestial ram appears, Hercules follows him, and arrives at a place where the ram scrapes with least foot, and there comes forth a spring of water, that of the Hyads or Eridan. Samson, after having killed 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass, feels a violent thirst. He beseeches the god thou to take pity on him. God makes a spring of water to issue from the jawbone of an ass. Volney then goes on to show that the story of the foxes is copied from the pagan mythology, and was the subject of a festival in Latium. The labors of Hercules were all astronomically explained by Mons Dupuy in a manner which admits of no dispute. They are the history of the annual passage of the sun through the signs of the zodiac, as may be seen on the globe, it being corrected to the proper era and latitude. The system of Genesis and that of India were the same. This proves the doctrine, as well as the ritual, to be identical. They are prints of statues cut out of rocks long before the Christian era. Let him consider the histories of Samson, Hercules, and Bala, Rama, of Buddha and Osiris, Budva, Hermes, and Pho, and doubt the identity if he can. It is equally rash to maintain that there were no wars of Joshua or Judges, because we find the walls of Jericho falling to the sound of ram's horns, or the mythological history of Hercules as Samson, or of Iphigenia as Jephthah's daughter. At the same time that Mr. Faber and Nimrod have proved the early Jewish history to be in great part the same as the mythology of the nations, they have shown us, from the history of this mythology, that it's the height of rashness hence to conclude that it is all false. It in no way differed from the history of other nations, like them it had much fable, like them it had much truth. The very ancient, curious, and interesting records of the Israelites have never had fair play. One class of readers swallows everything, the frogs of Egypt, the bulls of Bashan, the giants, and all. The others will swallow nothing, and I am rather surprised that they admit the inhabitants of Duke's Place ever to have had any fathers. Long locks of hair and a long beard are mythological attributes of the sun. The sun's rays are compared with locks of hair on the face or head of the sun. When the sun sets and leaves his place to the darkness, or when the powerful summer sun is succeeded by the weak rays of the winter sun, then Samson's long locks, in which alone his strength lies, are cut off through the treachery of his deceitful concubine, Delilah, the languishing, languid, according to the meaning of the name, Delilah. The beaming Apollo, moreover, is called the Unshaden, and Minos cannot conquer the solar hero Nisus, till the latter loses his golden hair. Other nations beside the Hebrews and Greeks had their mighty men and lion killers. The Hindus had their Samson. His name was Balarama, the strong Rama. He was considered by some an incarnation of Vishnu.